Alright everybody, welcome to my Ableton live tutorial on how to manipulate multiple bass frequencies and to create a dubstep style synth. So first I'm going to create a drum loop with a simple compressor and EQ on it. I drag the instrument rack to my sequencer so that I create independent instrument that's blank. Next, I'm going to go into the operator and drag the operator into the center of my instrument rack. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at each individual oscillator, and I'm going to have 4 individual oscillators, all relaying off oscillator A. So oscillator A is going to be a square wave 64, while B, C, and D are all going to be sine waves. So if I click on B, sine wave, C, D, sine wave. And each individual oscillator is going to be paired up A on its own. So I'm creating that oscillator pathway. I'm going to duplicate that. And the next one is going to be A and B paired together. As well as A and C, and so on. So as you can see, this is A and B for B, C is A and C, and D is going to be A and D, because everything's bouncing off of A as the main. So next, I'm going to take each oscillator, you can mute or unmute it, and I'm going to apply that to the macros, and I'll explain why in 1 second. So macros 1, 2, 3, and 4 is going to be the speaker on or off for oscillator A, oscillator B, oscillator C, and oscillator D. So I'm going to turn each of those up. So all those are active. That's oscillator B fluctuating and messing with the sound of oscillator A. So each individual oscillator is going to affect that. So I have a preset bass loop here, and I'm going to put that bass loop on the instrument rack. So for oscillator A, the output level is basically going to be affecting that. The level output is going to affect the tone of it. So if I look at the level output on A, it's just going to be stationary. Then I'm going to move over to oscillator B. I'm going to look at the output level. And I'm going to change the oscillator B Next is oscillator C. Is D, the output level of D. Well, next, now we're going to take each individual fluctuation between A, B, C, and D. We're going to create audio tracks. So those oscillators, A, B, C, and D, we're going to route those into audio tracks. So we're going to select 2, an instrument rack, and then post mixer of operator A, B, C, and D. So through the instrument rack and routed post mixer on each corresponding to then next we're going to record all the way through. So hold Command and arm those and play them. Record. So from far away, they kind of all look the same, but if you zoom in, you can see that there's some differences. So you can obviously hear the difference. All different waves. So the one I don't like is this one. I don't like D because it sounds very similar to the other ones. So I'm going to do some things to change D. I'm going to take out one of my secret weapons, which is Stutter Edit by Izotope. So I'm going to open up Stutter Edit. I'm going to drag that into D. So oscillator D is going to be powered by Stutter Edit. I'm just going to use a random filter, which is Electro Mods here. Then I'm going to create a MIDI track. That MIDI track is going to be routed into Op D, which is the name of the channel for that specific sound. And I'm going to record over it and record my own MIDI pattern into it. So I just made that on the fly, so there was no planning involved actually. So I'm going to consolidate that, quantize it. This is just for instructional purposes. I did this on the fly. So I'll play that again so you can hear it. Op D and stuttered it and messed with the sound a little bit just to give it some variety. Next, we're going to take a return track that I've created, and it's a mastering return which includes EQ, compression, and limiter. We're going to tweak that a little bit. Then of course, we're going to use the sidechain function. We're going to take the most dominant sound, which is C here, it's kind of the dirtiest, and that's going to conflict with our bass line. So we're going to have that subtract on the mastering return using sidechain from the the lower bass line of Op C. So follow along. Just going to compare. There you go before. So there's a quick example of how you can use multiple channeling ways of including return tracks to get a signature sound and actually lighten up your mix just a little bit. Thanks so much for watching.